Welcome. It is October and it is time for our monthly health summit. Again, I am so excited to have you here with us today. We have a typical cast of characters that you've all seen before, Sybil Russell, Kristen, and myself, and we're going to have some amazing health nuggets here. So if you're new to the Health Summit, we are all believers in natural holistic health in some form or fashion. We all know the perils of prescription meds and Western medicine and all that stuff. Not saying it's all bad. I believe personally for trauma, Western medicine is amazing what we can do in traumatic situations. But as far as disease and all those things, there's God. There is God. God is there and he designed our bodies amazingly to heal themselves. And we can tap into this wonderful world we have around us, all the nature, all the natural ways to heal ourselves. So that is the heart of what we do here at the Health Summit. We each share on different topics each month. We invite you to come on board with us and ask questions and engage. We've got an amazing community now that we've launched that you can be a part of. So if you want to eventually contribute to something like a Health Summit, if you simply want to find more purpose in your life and want to get involved with a community that is for you, doesn't judge you, in harmony with you, you'll have an opportunity to do that as a registered member. And as a live member, you are going to have a chance to win prizes tonight because you're here live. So that's amazing. My disclaimer for the night, none of us are quote unquote doctors. We have some initials behind some of our names, and I'll let each person talk about what they have. But we always tell you, don't take carte blanche what we say. These are all things that we personally have lived and experienced, but consult with your physician if you have one, your general practitioner, your holistic health doctor, by all means, because we don't want to appear to be any of those things for you in your life. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Russell Shaw, and he is kicking us off for tonight. Go ahead, Russell.
Well, good evening, everybody. And it's so great to be here. I am a neuroencoding specialist, and I work with the Life Transform team to talk about how your brain operates the rest of your system. Anytime in your life, whenever you're procrastinating, hesitating, fear of failure, fear of success, imposter syndrome, all these things, everybody comes across at some time in their life. And whenever they do, it causes us to not move forward in our lives the way we want to. And so if you've been there, and if you're interested in finding more about it, contact us here at Life Transform. We want you to be healthy. We want you to be mentally healthy. We want you to be physically healthy. And we all bring our own specialty to this to help you do that. And so tonight, I'm going to be talking to you about two more of the ants that can cause you to keep from moving forward. Because basically, you got to be an ant killer. And if you haven't been here before, an ant is an automatic negative thought that gets in the way of you moving forward. And so these are principles that you need to know, because every time you have a thought, every time something comes into your mind, good or bad, and unfortunately most of us have a lot of negative thoughts, anytime it comes to our mind, it releases chemicals in our body, and those chemicals can sometimes make us feel worse. And you've been there, right? You've been upset, maybe stay awake at night, something wake you up in the middle of the night, next thing you know, you're laying there in the bed rest of the night thinking about it. So every time you have a thought, a bad thought, an unkind thought, and releases these drugs. But we also have the drug that is released when we have happy thoughts, whenever we really feel good about things. We have this thought that comes to us and it makes us feel good. And that's the thoughts that we want you to have. We want you to have those thoughts, because let me tell you something, your thoughts are powerful. If you just stop and think about eating a lemon, like cutting it open and bring it up your lips and bite into that. And a lot of times you go, ooh, that's sour. And you ain't even tasted it. But yet that thought in your mind caused you that. And so we want to take a look at some things in our lives that cause us to have these automatic negative thoughts. And so we're going to train our thoughts. We're going to take a look at if I could get more control of those thoughts, what would I be able to do? Well, you're going to be happier. Those thoughts that we have steal our joy. They take away the happiness that we can have in our lives. And so we're going to talk about two more tonight that can do this to you. And one is the guilt beating ant. That's right, guilt beating. Whenever you beat yourself up because you should have done something. This is one of those things where, you talk about, well, I should have done this. Or you might tell your kids, well, you should have done your homework. And the thing about it is these shoulda, coulda, and type things, they're not really motivators. And so what is it that you need to do in order to motivate yourself better? Well, think about it. I know not long ago, for about 4 or 5 days, I kept saying, I should call my sister. I should call my sister. And I kept putting it off because I was using that word should. And then I said one day, you know what? I am calling my sister. And so before that day was over, I called my sister. And so, but those guilt beating ants, I mean, I was kind of beating myself up because I hadn't called my sister yet. So whenever we use those words, shoulda, coulda, and instead of putting them in there more positive things that says, I want to do this. You've said a lot of times, man, I should start dieting. I should eat better. I should get on the Life Transform Summit and find out what I can do to take care of myself better. Maybe that's something you said and you haven't joined us yet. But the thing about it is, it doesn't help you to move forward. You've got to change those words to something that says, I'm going to, I will, and get excited about it, because excitement is part of it. And then whenever you do call your sister, as I did, praise yourself. Say, yes, I'm so glad I called my sister. Yes, I'm so glad I did this. Praise is one of those things that we should do because it really helps us to feel better about ourselves. Let me show you something that'll work for you really good. You can do this right now. Just look in the camera if you can see yourself and just go and smile. You actually feel better. A lot of times I tell people to smile, they'll even laugh right behind it. Says, yeah, I do feel better. But it's that simple. Just a nice smile and a deep breath can give you that little shot of dopamine that says, yeah, it's not so bad. Things are going pretty good. Whatever you do, don't use those words that cause you to beat yourself up, because they don't help you. So replace your shouldas and couldas with I want to, I will, I'm going to fix that. I have the power to do this. Whatever it is that you have in you that really makes you move forward. And then the next one, this is one that we learn at a very early age, and it's called the labeling ant. And a lot of times we learn it because we label other people, and whenever we label them, it gets in the way of us really understanding who they are. And if we label ourselves, right, how many times have you done that? Working on the computer and it's like, oh, my goodness, I'm so stupid, can't even spell a word right. I mean, and you're not a stupid person, you're not an idiot, but yet we say these things to ourselves. And even though it doesn't make you feel bad, every time you do this, you are labeling yourself with all these people that you already have a picture of. Whenever you say I'm stupid, you kind of think of what it means to be stupid, but you're not stupid. You're not clumsy. You're not, if you're trying to do anything, lose weight, trying to eat better, trying to get to bed early and get some sleep. A lot of times we say, well, I just can't do that. I'm just so out of control. And whenever you say I'm so out of control, you continue to stay in that out of control area of your life. Whenever you say I can control this, I will take control of this, you stop labeling those things in your life. Because every time we put a label on things, it just digs a deeper rut into our brains. Our brains they do these electrical impulses that run across there. And if we do that same impulse that I'm stupid, it creates a rut, and we start to believe it even more. And I don't want you believing that, because it's not true. Our brains lie to us. They tell us these things because of past things that we've done before. Our past things, maybe you grew up in a family that your mom or dad might have told you, or maybe an uncle or an aunt, or even a teacher. Oh, you'll never be able to do math. You can't do math. Or I've talked to people that said, teacher said I was stupid, or I'd never learned. And so they decided they'd never learn. And then somebody said, but you can. And they find out that they really could. But yet somebody in their life that they believed and trusted gave them that thought. Somebody tells you you're lazy, tells you you're a moron, tells you, you'll never amount to anything. These are things that just really get in the way of you growing. So use positive, accurate labels about who you are, because you are smart, you are brilliant, you are capable. There is so much about you that is going to help you move forward. And whenever you start saying those things and you really start believing them, you're going to see yourself start to come into new areas of your life that you thought you would never reach, because you had got this belief in your life that, well, I'm just not that smart, or I'm not able to do that. My friends tell me I won't be able to do that. I was told all these things, regardless of it. And it set up a belief system in you that's not true. And so quit with these things that are lies. I mean, it's so bad to say that our brain lies to us, but unfortunately it does. And so what you want to do is start getting out of that. So I'm going to give you the 4 things you need to do here to get and touch those ants. So as you take a look at those 2 ants, you got to remember, whenever you start labeling yourself and you call yourself stupid, is it true? Of course, no, you're not stupid. But sometimes somebody say something to you like, well, you don't have the money for that. You don't have the knowledge for that. And you might say, well, you know, that's true. But you know what? Let's ask the second question. Can I absolutely 100% say that that's true? Well, no, I can't say for sure that I don't have what I need. I mean, I might be able to get it. There might be a way for me to work into that. I might just need some schooling. I might need I mean, there's so many things. You see, whenever you say that isn't absolutely true, then you start thinking, well, no, it's not. There's some things I can do. Now, here's the one that really is going to take you and move you forward. How do I feel when I have the thought? It's like, wow, I don't feel good. I don't like the idea that I can't get what I want. I don't like the idea that I can't move forward. And so you want to really feel that. You really want to just walk into that and say, yeah, I hate that. And then, because the next one is what's really going to help you move out. It says, how would I feel without the thought? Oh my gosh, if I didn't have the thought, then yeah, I could probably meet somebody, or I should, there's some place out there that I can possibly get the money. I might not even may need that much money. So many times we tell ourselves, well, I don't have enough money for that. And then when we start looking, you don't need as much as you thought. So many times. See, that's where your thoughts lie to you. And then turn it around to the opposite. It says, yes, I can find the mentor. Yes, I can find what it is I need. Whatever that opposite is, I can find it. I can do it. Whatever it is, I can stop eating these cake at night when I go to bed. Whatever it is you're doing, that is keeping you stuck. So you do those 4 things, and the last one's what we call a turnaround, the opposite of thought. And then meditate on that thought and keep working on it. These ants, we'll do 2 more next month, but these ants is what are holding you back. There's what keeping you from keeping you into procrastination and hesitation, and maybe some of those fears we talked about. And we want you here at Life Transformed to be the best version of yourself, because I've been doing this and I've found a better version of me. So I know you can too. All right. That's it for me.
All right. That means I'm next. Thanks for that, Russell. I really think that there's a lot of validity in the words that we say about ourselves and the things that we hold true about ourselves. And we have the choice to just change that and to claim new things about us. So I love that you bring that influence into, this health summit, because I think that a lot of people get stuck in those ruts, and that's creating neural pathways. And it's so cool they discovered that we can create new neural pathways. So thanks for bringing that up today. And I'm going to share my screen because I do have some slides that I'm going to share with you guys tonight. I even have a short little video clip that I'm going to share with you guys. But my name's Sybil, for those of you who don't know me, if you guys haven't been on here yet, for those of you who do, it's me. I love talking about nature, essential oils, all the plant power, empowerment that I've gotten through my life. And now I like to just sprinkle it around and share it with everybody else. So there's me. Nature enthusiast, empowerment agent. That's what I think of as myself. I just want people to be empowered because I found so much empowerment through taking the holistic approach, kind of like Robert talked about. Western medicine has a place for, emergency, but when it comes to true health, I mean, that's on us and what we choose to do with our lifestyle choices. So we get to choose how we talk about ourselves. And we also get to choose the things that we bring into our lifestyle to really progress us forward or hold us back. That's up to us. And I love specializing in essential oils. So there's always a hint of that in each of my presentations. So of course, there will be some of that tonight, along with some other things, because there's so much when it comes to holistic wellness that I love to talk about because I've dove into it personally. So tonight is all about your cellular health and proactive prevention, because here in the Western world, we are sitting ducks. So many of us just sit and wait for bad things to happen. And then it's usually too late then to do the things that you could have done to make your overcoming of whatever it is so much easier. So I'm here to encourage you and empower you to do things before they need to be done that will really help your body in the long run. So I'm going to talk all about cellular health tonight, because we all know our bodies are constantly, you have cells that are dying off like right now, and there's new ones being born. And this goes on every second of every day for as long as you live. And so when you think about that, I want people to really grasp that it really does matter what you choose to do on a daily basis. The input that you have coming into your life, the lifestyle products that you have in your home, the food that you're eating, which we hear Kristen talk about a lot. All of these little things that may just seem like, oh, that's just an ordinary part of life. They are either helping you or hurting you in terms of your health. So, and especially in terms of your cellular health. So I really want people to be understanding that it's you that's in the driver's seat. And I want to give you guys, things that can help you, kind of like a simple roadmap of things that can help you make the journey easier and more joyful so that you can steer yourself in a healthier direction. So we're going to dip our toes into cell death and rebirth, because I think it's cool if you know the two different ways that cells die in our body. One's good, one's bad. If you have that basic understanding, that can be helpful when it comes to making those daily choices. And then I'm going to talk about tips for making empowered decisions. These are some of the things that I teach about in other health summits. So you'll see a nice overlapping there. I'm going to just do a quick little tidbit on free radicals, because then when I turn into my essential oil picks and talk about antioxidants, it'll all make sense. And it's October, which is breast health awareness month. So I have a few little recipes and stuff on that for all of you ladies, or all of you men who have ladies in your life. It's really important to be thoughtful of our cellular health. The art of the cell death and rebirth. We're only gonna watch part of this, so even though it says it's 4 minutes, it's only 2, so let's dive in.
Necrosis versus apoptosis. Hello everyone. This tutorial will explain to you the main difference between apoptosis and necrosis. Introduction. All cells in a multicellular organism undergo growth and death. Cellular death is essential for an organism to grow and survive. Human body is made up of innumerable types of cells in various parts of the body. There are mainly 2 types in which a cell undergoes death, either through exposure to harmful environment, injury, or through a pre-planned and regulated process of disintegration. Cell death occurs via 2 different processes, one being necrosis and the other being apoptosis. Now the question is, what is necrosis? Necrosis is a process of cellular death, which occurs when cells are exposed to extreme conditions, which are very different from normal living conditions. This leads to damage to the internal cellular environment and rapid cell and tissue damage. So the basic inability of the cell to maintain balance when exposed to rough conditions leads to complete discord in the cell's functioning, and eventually its death. What is apoptosis? Apoptosis is a pre-planned regular process of cell death occurring in the body, where the cell itself actively takes part in its own death. It occurs as part of normal cellular multiplication and turnover. So cells die naturally to maintain a balance of the cellular multiplication. Apoptosis is required for smooth functioning of the body. Most cells in the body have a shelf life. For example, red blood cells live for 120 days. At the end, they are destroyed in the body. This is a method of apoptosis. Difference in cause and presentation. Necrosis is a pathological process which is detrimental to the body. It occurs when the cells are exposed to toxins or on exposure to extreme conditions, which could be anything from increased temperature, decreased oxygen levels, etc. These conditions lead to damage to the wall or membrane of the cell. An inability to maintain normal functioning in these conditions leads to an imbalance in the internal environment of the cell. This leads to inflammation and tissue damage, which leads to accumulation of cellular debris. Apoptosis is a normal, natural process which is necessary for the body, as it maintains a balance in the number of cells in the body. If the cells do not die on time, it can lead to a tumor or cancer formation, which is an accumulation of unwanted cells. If cells die too fast, it can lead to conditions such as AIDS, heart disease, and liver disease. So if apoptosis does not take place as it should, there will be signs of disease.
Right, so that's all we're going to watch of that, because I want everybody to have that clear view that there are 2 different ways. Like, your cells are constantly dying, but that doesn't mean that's a bad thing. You have a great way to do it, which is the body's natural way, apoptosis. And then necrosis is when we're not taking care of ourselves, we're just being sitting ducks. And all of these things wind up happening to our body because there are so many toxins in this world. You guys, I could probably do a year's worth of just these health summits and talk about all of the things that are detrimental to our overall health through toxicity that we're exposed to. But like Robert said in the beginning, God made us really intentionally, and our bodies have these amazing capabilities to overcome things. They just need the right support tools to be able to do the job they were created to do. And so that's what I like to encourage people with, is that, there's ways that we can encourage healthy cell death so that we can live longer, healthier lives. So some of my tips for, keeping our cellular health intact, one is getting grounded. Now, on one of our health summits in the spring, I teach on getting grounded. But what it really does for you is it helps to release the voltage in our body. We can carry up to 20 volts in our body at any given time. I mean, think about like a lot of us are on our computers right now, or maybe you're holding your cell phone, or you're wearing a watch that has like smart technology in it. We have all these things, you know, there's cell towers everywhere, all of these frequencies around that are really charging our bodies up with all of this voltage. And we need a way to decompress that. And getting grounded is simply taking your shoes off and being in contact with like the dirt, the ground, the earth. And so that is one of the best ways. It's free, and it's really invigorating to your soul when you are getting grounded. That's why when you go to the beach, you actually feel happier and healthier, and just like, wow, I just feel better. It's because you're physically contact. You're usually barefoot in the sand, right? And there's fresh water and fresh air. So that is one of the simplest things that I always encourage people. And I do teach more on that. So we'll get more into that in a future health summit, but I always like to start with that one because it's easy. Staying hydrated. So when our bodies take on all of these toxicities that then hurt our cells, if you stay hydrated, that's going to help flush all of that gunk out and keep things moving through your lymphatic system, which is another area I teach on. But not only just staying hydrated, but drinking pure, clean water. So I'm a big advocate for not drinking tap water unless you live somewhere like Costa Rica or like next to like the Alpine mountains, so that you're getting fresh spring water. But most places, most cities, if you had your water checked and you knew what was in there, you would not be drinking from the tap. So I always encourage people to drink alkaline water that has been through reverse osmosis, remineralized, all that good stuff, because staying hydrated is really important, because like over 60% of our body is water. So keeps things moving. Now, increasing your antioxidant intake is really important. And this plays into free radicals, which I wanted to just briefly touch on. I had a video in here, but I took it out because it doesn't have words. And I feel like it's as simple as saying that if you have a free radical in your body, it is a cell that's lacking, it's missing a couple of its electrons. So what does it do? It goes to steal from other cells and takes their electrons. So you then fix the one cell, then you have two more unhealthy cells. And so it's just this ripple effect of this never ending process of cells stealing from, or I'm sorry, unhealthy cells stealing from healthy cells. And then it's just like, you keep having more unhealthy cells. So that's why antioxidants are so important, because they come in and they're these little rescuers that have extra electrons to give to those unhealthy cells, so they do not have to steal from your healthy cells and create that snowball effect. So I'm going to touch on some antioxidants and ways to boost that in your life, because something as simple as that can make a really big impact on your cellular health. Detoxing your lifestyle. This is everything from, because, you know, like Russell just talked about, you know, if you have people speaking negatively into you and then you're holding on to those thoughts and labeling yourself as that, that's really detrimental to your health overall. But detoxing things from your daily lifestyle products, women especially, you need to pay attention to what you're putting on your body. We shave our legs and then we put scented lotions on. Well, guess what? Those have all sorts of phthalates and sulfates and fragrance that gets into your body, because your skin is your largest organ. So when you're shaving your legs, there's little micro cuts it's creating. Same with women shaving their armpits. That's why women have breast cancer more prevalently than men, because we're creating those tiny little spaces and cuts in our body for whatever we're putting on next, whatever scented nonsense that is synthetically and just chemically ridden. And we're just putting it all over our body every single day. And we think that we're like, oh, let's keep our skin moisturized and let's keep our armpits not stinky. Well, there's better ways to do that and alternative options. And I love that it's becoming way more mainstream that people are talking about that, because some simple swaps in your household and also with the people you hang out with or your work environment, it makes a big difference when you're detoxing some of those toxins, be it people or products. So that's important. And then utilizing nature whenever possible. I'm going to touch on some of the essential oils that I recommend that people use for healthy cellular expression, but really just getting grounded and going out in nature and spending time understanding, learning more. That's why I love being on this health summit, because I can bring little tidbits, but there's so many different teachers, communities, people out there who are putting out great content that help you to get back in touch with nature, which I just think is really the way of the future. It's also the way of the past, which is why we're heading back that way. So important antioxidants. These are things like spices and herbs or bioavailable supplements, also food, but for people who are not getting enough, which is most people are not getting enough fruits and veggies into their diet. That's why bioavailable supplements are really important. They're easy for your body to break down. That's how you can get antioxidants into your system. things like berries, fruits, nuts, chocolate. Who doesn't love that? Anytime I get a little nod for chocolate in the diet, that's always a thumbs up. Vegetables, and things that are found in common foods and beverages that have high antioxidant values. And there's also an oil I'm going to talk to that has great antioxidant values. They're off the chart, actually. But the three main important antioxidants, I looked this up. So beta carotene, vitamin C, and vitamin E. Those are the kind of things that you want to be getting into your diet via foods, spices, supplements, however you're getting it in. And I know Kristen has talked about this because she's all about, the things that we fuel our body with and the food we're eating, but colorful fruits and vegetables, we want to eat the rainbow. So things that are purple, I love purple potatoes. That's like my new favorite thing, as well as purple carrots. If you didn't know they have those, they do, and they're delicious. Things that are blue, red, orange, and yellow, all good for getting those antioxidants into your body, which is then helping your body fight off free radicals, which in turn helps your cellular health. So beyond that, here's some essential oils that are great for healthy cellular expression. And I just wanted to side note here, it matters the purity of the oils that you're using. So just like those scented lotions and scented things all over your home, a lot of things that are labeled essential oils are actually synthetic fragrance. There is zero regulation in that market. So if you're somebody who's looking for, like, how do I know what's good, what's bad? I'm your girl. I can help walk you through that. I have within our Life Transform community a little crash course on understanding, the quality difference and the safety that you need to understand. But once you do find something, a company that really is pure, there's a handful of them out there, and these are the oils that you can use to really make sure that your cells are expressing themselves the way they're meant to. So frankincense and sandalwood, I have this awesome little book and it talks to me about all the things. So these two, they actually promote healthy apoptosis. It's apoptosis, but it's a hard word to say. But those two are really, really good. They're the two most common oils that I'm always telling people to use on a daily basis, because it's really just every single day throughout that cell death or that cell birth and that cell death, it is keeping your cells doing what they're supposed to be doing and on a timely fashion. And then patchouli and yarrow, they actually help your cells to expel those toxins. So drinking lots of water, using patchouli and yarrow, it's like a detox for your cells, which inside of your cell is where your DNA is. And so it's important we keep that protected and get those toxins out of there. Now, clove, I said that there was an antioxidant rich oil. Clove essential oil, when you're using it in a pure form, is the highest antioxidant in nature. It blows everything else out of the water. You can look at the ORAC scale, which is how they measure antioxidants. It is so far off the scale that, like, acai is something that people know, and like blueberries and things like that. It's so far off the charts compared to those things. So clove is a really great oil for, daily cellular expression. And it's also great for your immune system. So that's a nice little bonus. Lemongrass I thought was interesting to see on here as well, but it's also a cellular detoxifier. I use that one a lot for pain management, but great for your cellular expression too. Turmeric is one a lot of people know about, and this one is also a great antioxidant. So if you're drinking turmeric coffee, if you've ever had turmeric in your coffee, or the golden milk, I think is what it's called. Great way to work turmeric in. Has a strong taste, but when you're using it in the oil form, you only need a tiny little bit. I prefer to use mine in a rollerball form or to put it in a little veggie capsule, because the taste is a little strong for me. Some people really love it though. And then thyme oil. This one is probably my most used, aside from frankincense, because thyme is a powerhouse. It really gets all the gunk out from your cells and it protects them. It's kind of like a fortress for things that get inside of your cells, like viruses. So it can help protect you from that and keep your cells healthy and strong. And I recommend people using it on a daily basis, just to keep your immune system and your cellular health in order. So that's a handful of my favorites. There's lots of essential oils that specialize in specific areas. So like I've got this whole book here. It's called the Essential Life book. I use this all the time. It's my oil Bible is what I call it. But I mean, it goes through all sorts of different problems. Like maybe you have hardening of your cell membrane, stuff for your cervix, stuff for your brain, stuff for your bones. So like all when it has to do with your cellular health, you can break it down. So if you're somebody who's like, oh, I know specifically where I need some guided assistance, I can help you out with that. Thanks to my handy dandy book. Now to round us out, because it's Breast Health Awareness Month. Geez, my words are hard today. I wanted to share with these two little things with you guys. So your deodorant, like I said, women shave their armpits, most women, not all women. But those of you who do, and men as well, even if you're not shaving your armpits, aluminum in your deodorant is a massive no-no. And so it's becoming much more prevalent now that people understand that. And there's plenty of other things in deodorant like parabens, phthalates, talc. Talc is bad. It's in a lot of makeup that women wear. It's in baby powder. So ditch all that and switch to natural things. So there's lots of different deodorants that you can use. I really love doTERRA's Balance deodorant. Smells really good, and it has arrowroot powder to keep you dry. Unlike some of the things that you'll find, oh man, I can't think of what the word is now, but it's in antifreeze, and it's in a lot of deodorants that are antiperspirant, and it actually stops you from sweating. So you're like, oh yeah, and I'm not sweating. Well, guess what? You're also not expelling those toxins that are harmful for your cellular health, and then they're just staying in your body. So it's really important to switch to natural options, get the aluminum out, because if you actually look on, you can Google this if you'd like, you can check out where, like which quadrant of the breast that breast cancer is most prevalent in. And it's always the one that is closest to the armpit, because your lymphatic system, you have lymph nodes all in your armpits. And that's, I mean, your lymphatic system is really what moves the toxins out. It's like the garbage waste of our body. And if you're not moving it out, they're just staying in your lymph nodes and collecting there. And then they're just leaking into that tissue, and toxins love living in fatty tissue, which your breast tissue is fatty. And so that's why we see such a spike in breast cancer, because we've just gotten so toxic and so removed from nature, and we've let all of this stuff. I mean, doesn't it make you mad that these things are just allowed to be in?
I've got so many notes here, and every month I end up incorporating something else into my lifestyle. And I think that's so important to constantly evolve your lifestyle and to become aware of new things. And Russell's talking to us about how we talk to ourselves, and Sybil, all the stuff she went through on cellular health. This is all good stuff. You don't have to do it all at once. I have to caution myself, because I'm the kind of person that wants to do everything all at once. I hear something, I'm like, okay, I just want to do it all right now. Well, that's probably not the smart way to do it. Let us help you get involved in our community. We love to do that. Just imagine having Kristen and Sybil and Russell available to you during the week, all week, right? In a community setting. That's really what, the value that we're adding here in the world. So I'm going to talk about sleep, as Sybil said, the overlooked secrets. And this was so much fun doing research on this topic, because it's just a fascinating thing. I'm going to go through the history of sleep, the current results, and then the gold standard practices for you with sleep. All right, so let's jump right into the history of sleep. All right, so this is really fascinating. I think you'll find it fascinating too. It all started back in the year 1370, because that was when the first clock was erected in Cologne, Germany. And that was a big turning point for all of us in the world and our relationship to time. Say, before that, time was naturally linked to the rotation of the earth on its four axes, right? That's how we lived our life. It was all based on when the sun went down, when the sun went up. You went to bed with the moon, you got up with the sun. That was what we did before we started measuring time. There was a rhythm to the day and a rhythm to the year. Those of us who live in climates that change, we have the four seasons and the darkness and longer days and all that. There was a rhythm that we naturally got into as humans, and it served us well. The clock changed all of that. Okay, think about that. Just think about that a little bit. The clock changed that whole natural rhythm. Artificial time came into play, and we stopped listening to our bodies and started rising up to our alarms in the morning. Oh my goodness, alarms. They're terrible, 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 right? If you think about it, naturally, we would do all of this on our own, the natural rhythm, and now we bring in alarms. We went from God to a machine, trying to master ourselves and our surrounding. That's what we do as human beings. We're like, oh, we can do this. We can take control. I'm not going to go by what my body's saying. I'm going to hack the system, and I'm going to get up earlier. I'm going to set an alarm. I'm only going to sleep 5 hours a night so I can get more done. You know the drill, you know the routine. Then next was the light bulb. That was in 1879, the light bulb came around. So now, guess what? People could stay up past sunset. So now we elongated our days. We elongated the time that we could do whatever it is that we wanted to do. Again, artificial light, right? Messing with our natural body. And then, of course, you had technology. You had labor-saving devices like thermostats. And so you just go over to the wall and you flip a thermostat instead of going out chopping wood, putting it in a fireplace, making a fire and getting warm. Cars versus walking, right? Cars versus walking. Takeout food versus making food from scratch, right? How many people still make food from scratch? I know a lot of people in our community do, but a lot of folks in the world, fast food and takeout food and processed food is all over the place. Email versus writing letters, another example of technology. How fun is it when you actually get a letter, a written letter from a friend? Smartphones, programmable coffee pots, dishwashers, toasters. The list goes on and on and on. So that's what's happened with our sleep. We've gone to natural rhythm to technology really having a big influence. Oops, let's go back. I went too far. So now let's go to the next slide. We're going to talk about current results. Okay, so remember I said the light bulb came around 1879? Get this, before Edison and the light bulb, the average person slept, guess how many hours a night? 10, that's close. 11 hours a night before the light bulb. 11 hours a night. Today in America, the average is just over 7 hours. Is it any wonder we're exhausted all the time? Think about it. If we're naturally created to sleep 11 naturally, and now we're down to 7. And get this was really funny when I researched this. So think about this. Technology should have given us more time, right? All the things that we talked about that make life more convenient. You don't have to go chopping wood. You don't have to do all this stuff. It should have given us more time, more time. Where did that time go? Because it did give us more time, less time doing all these other things. But where did the time go? Well, of course, we spent it on other things. Futurists in the 1960s thought that by the mid 1980s, the average American work week would go from 40 hours to 24 hours because they literally thought, whoa, with all this extra time, we won't have to work as much and the work week is going to go down. But no, what did we do? The opposite has happened, right? The average American works on average 4 more weeks per year than they did in 1979. So we're going the wrong way. We always say technology serves us, but what are we doing with that time? What are we doing with those conveniences? We're just getting more and more caught up in this death cycle, I would say. So a century ago, the less you worked, the more status you had. Think about that. Now it's flipped. The more you relax and sleep, the less status you have, right? That's the way our culture, that's what our culture speaks to us. It's back to what Russell said. If we're saying these things to ourselves, we're lying to ourselves. Our brains are lying to ourselves. Don't believe the lies of the world, because the lies of the world are going to get you to an early grave and a life that isn't as fulfilled as it could be. Now, next, 2007, smartphone, Steve Jobs, more distraction, working memory loss, goal of consuming our time. You read up on this topic, and all the smartphones and the companies that are associated with them, their single goal is to take up more of our time, to distract us more and more so they can get in our pockets and sell us more and more. The more they can keep us glued to our phones, the more they can do that. The average American looks at their iPhone up to 2,716 times per day. That's a fact. 2,716 times per day. We're living a life of distraction. Then there's digital capitalism, attention economy. That's just what I'm talking about. A company can get your money if and only if they can get your attention. So you have to be very careful with what you let into your attention span. Attention span in 2000, before the digital revolution, was about 12 seconds. That's all, 12 seconds. But guess what? After 2007 and the smartphone, now we're down to 8 seconds. And the trend is going down, down, down. To put that in perspective, a goldfish is at 9 seconds. So even a goldfish is outperforming us in terms of attention span. So what is the impact of all this? Accidents happen more frequently. You're getting dumbed down by all of this, not getting to sleep and technology and everything else. Serious health problems, kills sex drive, depression symptoms, ages skin, forgetful, weight gain, death risk, impairs judgment, especially about sleep, badge of honor. How many people are like, oh, I only need 5 hours of sleep a night. Well, I can get by with 4.5. This badge of honor that we have in our society. So I know this sounds kind of negative, but I get all fired up about this. All these things that Sybil talked about, all of us talk about, the culture, the world will send us down a slippery slope that is not going to serve us. So now you talk about the soul, impact on our soul. If you're distracted, you are not feeding your soul. And your soul is the most important thing that you can feed. And it wants love. It desires love. And it desires care and joy and peace and all those things. So the more you're distracted, the less sleep you are, the more overwhelmed you are because of lack of sleep, the more you are impeding your soul. And then finally, what are some gold standard practices? Gold standard practices. These have worked for me. So these are just a few. There's many, many, many gold standard practices out there, but consistency. Go to bed at the same time every night. Even on the weekends, go to bed at the same time every night. So powerful. I'm not even going to get into all the science around it, but it is so powerful to do that, have that consistency, going to bed at the same time every night. Alarms. Wake up without an alarm. Oh, heresy. I know, it's terrible. Lana and I do Sabbath once a week on Saturday, and we don't have an alarm on Saturday morning. It's amazing. It's wonderful. So yeah, we're only doing it once a week, but if you can get to that point, make that an intention that you want to be able to get up without an alarm. And you think about it, if you go to sleep the same time every night, you'll be able to get into that good rhythm again, right? Electronics, no TV or electronic devices in your sleeping area. Need dark, relaxing, and comfortable, right? No TVs in the bedroom. Terrible. Get rid of them. It's bad for you. Food and drink, avoid large meals, caffeine and alcohol before bedtime. I know we've heard these before. Exercise, just move. Just move a little bit every day. Just move a little bit. That's so good. And then finally, inspiration is honor the body temple. These aren't our bodies. God has provided these bodies for us. We're caretakers for these bodies. They're just housing our soul for the short time that we're here on earth. So honor God, make that your inspiration. If you're all about God like I am and Jesus, and then do that. If you don't want to honor yourself, and then honor God and thank God for providing the body that he has given you. And that's what I have for you today on the secrets of sleep. Here's my information again. I appreciate your time, and I'm going to turn it over to Miss Kristen over here, and she is going to rock us with some amazing information as always.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Robert. And it's so true that sleep is how our body repairs itself. It's how we get ready for the next day. So if we are not taking care of making sure we're getting good sleep, then the rest of our routine just heads right on downhill. So thanks so much for sharing that today, Robert. So I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to talk about immune health. So Sybil talked about cell health. Robert talked about sleep health. Russell talked about brain health. Now we're going to talk about immune health. And as you've seen from all of us here in the Health Summit, everything ties in together, and we want to help you feel better overall using nature and natural things. So my name is Kristen Hotop. If you have not been here before, welcome to our Health Summit. I am a certified holistic nutritionist and a gut health and nutrition coach. So we're going to talk about some things that you can do through food and some natural supplements to help with your immunity. If I can get my slide to switch, there we go. So here in this section, we're going to talk about the gut and immunity, some immune killers, and then what can help. So if you're the type of person who dreads the fall season because you're always getting sick your kids are always getting sick, if you dread the spring season because we've got allergies that are constantly coming around, then this information is going to be key for you, because we can boost our immunity naturally using some of the things that we're going to talk about. And why? Why is our gut so important when it comes to immunity? Well, it's because your gut houses 70% of your immune system. And depending on what statistic you're looking at, in fact, I posted on Facebook today that your gut houses 80% of your immune system. So depending on which study it is that you are looking at, it's right around that 70 to 80% range. So if your gut isn't healthy, then you are losing the opportunity for better overall health. So what are some things that kill your immune system? So these immune killers here. So we're going to talk about 4. The first one is stress. So we know that not all stress is bad. In fact, we need some stressors in our lives that those get us going, give us that motivation if we're in a public speaking situation, or maybe we need to run from a threat. But it's the state of constant stress that many of us are in, that chronic stress, that is what can really hurt our immune system. So we've got to find ways to overcome that constant state of stress that many people are in these days. Number 2 is the poor diet. So when we are not eating the right foods, then that is allowing pathogens to remain in our gut. So we want to put the good stuff in, crowd out the bad stuff, and flush out the toxins, which leads us right into number 3, which is dehydration. When we're not getting enough fluids, then we can't flush out those toxins. We can't flush out that bacteria. As Sybil talked about, our body is over 60% water. So if we are not replenishing that, then our organs and our tissues and our skin, all of those different sorts of things are suffering. And then lastly, sleep deprivation. So sleep deprivation hurts our immune system because our body can't heal itself. So Sybil talked about cellular health and cellular regeneration, cellular birth and death. Well, we can't do that. Our body can't go through those processes of repair and relax if we're not getting good sleep. And so Robert talked about how these days most people get less than 7 hours of sleep when our body requires at least 7 in order to go through those cellular processes. And so if we're not going through all of those different cellular processes and getting rid of those toxins, then it's causing inflammation in our body. And inflammation is one of the big immune killers. So super important to make sure that we are aware of these immune killers. So what can we do? We're going to start with foods, because as Sybil pointed out, I love talking about different foods that you can use to help your body be better at the processes that it already knows how to do. So we want to eat foods that are going to support our immune system. And so when you choose whole foods, mostly plants, that is where you're going to have the good basis of this. So we're going to talk about a few different categories. The first one is vitamin C, orange produce, and leafy greens. So Sybil talked a lot about antioxidants and making sure that we are supporting our body. So the vitamin C we can get from our citrus fruits. So if we look at the foods in the grocery store right now, and again in January, there's going to be a lot of citrus that's available. Those oranges, those lemons, limes, and grapefruits, all great things that we can add to our water to get in those vitamin C and help support our immune system. Now, the next one you see there, orange produce, you might be thinking to yourself, well, you already talked about oranges. What else do we have? Well, we also have sweet potatoes. We have carrots that are both good sources of vitamin A that can help support our immune system. And then lastly, leafy greens. So leafy greens also help with vitamin A, but they also support mucus production in our body. And mucus is another way to block any pathogens that are trying to get in. So if we think about over the last few years, we've had a lot of talk about breathing in pathogens. Well, if you've got good mucus production, it's going to stop any pathogens that are trying to get in through your nose. And so eating those leafy greens helps with that mucus production. The next category that I absolutely love is called pungent aromatics. And so you can see some of those different examples there on the slide: onions, peppers, garlic, ginger. All of those have in common that if you eat them, either your eyes and your nose are probably going to start watering. So that's how I categorize these as I'm thinking them, but they're all really good for the immune system and for your gut. So your gut bacteria love to eat these foods. So when you eat them, your gut bacteria is eating them, and that will help with that immune response as well, because it improves the flow of mucus and it helps digestion, which also helps get rid of those pathogens. So when your digestion is working better, it can flush out those things that you don't want hanging around. The third category we're going to talk about is fermented foods. So I love fermented foods, especially sauerkraut. I could eat sauerkraut by the forkful, and most of the people in my family look at me like I'm crazy. I thought maybe somebody was raising their hand that they're right there with me, but maybe not. So foods such as sauerkraut, yogurt, kimchi, miso, all of those different types of things can help with good gut bacteria. So again, when you eat it, the gut bacteria can eat it too, and it helps you maintain that balance of less hospitable gut environment for those bad bacteria. So again, we're crowding out and removing those bad bacteria from the equation. It also decreases inflammation and increases immune function. So one of the things that I do want to point out here for this section is watch out for the sugar content and the vinegar content in these foods, because too much sugar and too much vinegar will negate some of those good immune benefits that we get from eating fermented foods. Next, we're going to talk about fluids. So we want to make sure that we talked about dehydration, making sure that we're keeping our body moist and fluid. And so this again keeps our mucous membranes moist and helps us battle germs. So any fluids are good. If you can add in some of those other boosters to it, it's even better. So you can see here on the slide, slices of ginger in the foreground. You can see lemon cut up in the background. So adding in that vitamin C or the pungent aromatics can make these fluid benefits even more powerful. And then lastly here, we're going to talk a little bit about supplements. So again, Sybil mentioned it's important to make sure we're using bioavailable supplements if we need to add in some things that we might be missing from our foods. So a lot of our foods are subject to soil depletion and the standard American diet. We may not be getting in all the vitamins and minerals that we need. So a multivitamin can be a good option for a lot of people. Now, the middle one is greens. So if you've ever tried a greens, either a supplement or a drink, you probably had one that tasted like grass or dirt. Blech. So a lot of them out there don't taste good. And if it doesn't taste good, then you're probably not going to drink it. Well, I've got a greens supplement that my daughter says tastes like a green Sour Patch Kid. It's actually a berry flavor, but that was how she described it when I had her try it. But it's got phytonutrients, it's got antioxidants, it's got kombucha and apple cider vinegar in it to add in to those nutrients that you are looking to supplement. So it's not a substitute, it's a supplement to go along with what you're already doing. And then finally, on the right-hand side, if you're looking for extra immune support this year, I have an immune support supplement that's made with 2 medicinal mushrooms, turkey tail and royal agaricus extracts. It's got extra vitamin C and it's got an antioxidant superfood blend. So if any of those are interested, if you're interested in any of those, we can have a conversation about how you can add to what you are already doing in those amazing different food categories that we talked about. So that is it. If you are the person where I started out this conversation, if you're the person who dreads the fall because you and your kids get sick all the time, if you dread the spring because you don't want to have that snotty Kleenex in your pocket for another season, then you should start now boosting your immune system so that you can have an amazing season. So thanks so much for joining us tonight. I'm going to turn it back over to Robert to close us on out.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kristen. Again, an amazing night of just jam-packed with all kinds of information. We appreciate you all so much. Thanks for joining us live. Thanks for joining us on the recording. Sorry we ran, I think, a little bit longer than we anticipated, but not really. I think we're all right. But I just want to say that if any of this stuff intrigues you even just a little bit, reach out to us. That's where our hearts are, is we want to help you. We want to share the knowledge that we have, and we want you to be able to share with us too. I'm sure you all have come up with lots of things that have helped benefit you as well. And that's the kind of community that we're creating. If we can all pool our knowledge and collaborate together, then we are all going to raise our own ships together, right? We'll all be healthier together, and we'll be supporting each other, and we'll have those smiles that Russell was talking about, because everybody's going to be feeling good, and we have the big smiles on our faces, and we're going to have a lot of fun. All right. So that is it for tonight. We just had a challenge. We're going to have an encore presentation of our challenge. I believe we're going to do it either next Monday, the 10th, or the 17th. So be on the lookout for that. It'll be an encore chance for you to get engaged with our community and hear all about the 5 major purpose areas, of which physical body is one of them. And that's what this health summit is all about. So until next month, we will see you. Be healthy, try some of these things, and take care.